For 2,000 years, those who believe in Jesus Christ have been expecting Jesus to return again to the earth. Our artists have portrayed this second coming in many dramatic ways. Our perception of how we think that return will take place causes us to forget that God's ways are higher than man's ways. Future events seldom happen in the way humans have expected. Very few expected a Creator Son of God to be born on this earth. The Old Testament prophets foresaw it, but very few believed them. And now, very few expected a new book of Revelation to come to the earth, even though it was foreseen in the vision that John the Apostle saw and was recorded in the book of Revelations as a scroll with 7 seals. Hindsight suggests that we needed to reach the age of technology when we were about to invent computers in order to receive the epical book of Revelation. Only then could we begin to imagine how our beloved Sovereign of the universe could give each of us a duplicate of His Spirit, because we could visualize being born with a gift of a program in our mind computers. Having a book of Revelation, the Urantia Book, with the life and teachings of Jesus recorded for us to read or to listen to, is like a second coming of Jesus Christ. When we can know of His life and teachings and choose to open His program in our mind computer as our companion and friend throughout our life and for all eternity. The American prophet Joseph Smith recorded in his Doctrine and Covenants revelation that in the future more revelation would be given. Quote, "A time to come in the which nothing shall be withheld. Whether there be one God or many gods, they shall be manifest. All thrones and dominions, principalities and powers shall be revealed, and also all the times of their revolutions, all the appointed days, months, and years, and all their glories, laws, and set time shall be revealed in the days of the dispensation of the fullness of times." That's found in the Doctrine and Covenants, section 121. Joseph Smith also prayed about the book that John the Apostle saw in vision, and the answer he received was, "It contains the revealed will, mysteries, and works of God, the hidden things of this economy concerning this earth during the years of its continuance or its temporal existence." Then he asked what the seals are, and was told that the book will reveal about the 7 dispensations of time. Actually, that is an excellent description of the Urantia Book. On page 589, we read, "From the inception of life on an evolutionary planet to the time of its final flowering in the era of light and life, there appear upon the stage of world action at least 7 epochs of human life. These successive ages are determined by the planetary missions of the divine sons." And then we read about the 7 dispensations of time. Joseph Smith wrote that, quote, "We believe in the literal restoration of the 10 tribes," end quote. And it was prophesied that when they returned, they would bring the record of the teachings of Jesus Christ, which they recorded. In the Urantia Book, the life and teachings of Jesus are brought to us by a Midwayer Commission, who are part of 10,000 beings who serve as custodians on our planet, plus other duties. And they are beings who are midway between human and angels. They were seen by Adam and Eve in earlier generations, but gradually humans lost the ability to see them. They, in essence, disappeared from view. Quote, "When Jesus was on earth, He did on numerous occasions and to many individuals declare His intention of returning to the world. As His followers awakened to the fact that their Master was not going to function as a temporal deliverer, and as they listened to His predictions of the overthrow of Jerusalem and the downfall of the Jewish nation, they most naturally began to associate His promised return with these catastrophic events." End quote. But when the Roman armies leveled the walls of Jerusalem, destroyed the temple, and dispersed the Judean Jews, and still the Master did not reveal Himself in power and glory, His followers began the formulation of that belief which eventually associated the second coming of Christ with the end of the age, even with the end of the world. End quote. Quote, of all the Master's teachings, no one phrase has been so misunderstood as his promise sometime to come back in person to this world. It was only natural to believe that Jesus of Nazareth, now sovereign ruler of a vast universe, would be interested in coming back, not only once, but even many times, to the world whereon he lived such a unique life and finally won for himself the Father's unlimited bestowal of universe power and authority. End quote. Quote, Jesus promised to do two things after he had ascended to the Father, and after all power in heaven and on earth had been placed in his hand. He promised first to send into the world and in his stead another teacher, the Spirit of truth, and this he did on the day of Pentecost. Second, he most certainly promised his followers that he would sometime personally return to this world, but he did not say how, where, or when he would revisit this planet of his bestowal experience in the flesh. On one occasion he intimated that whereas the eye of flesh had beheld him when he lived here in the flesh, on his return, at least on one of his possible visits, he would be discerned only by the eye of spiritual faith. End quote. The children of light are all destined to see him, and it is of no serious concern whether we go to him or whether he should chance first to come to us. Be you therefore ever ready to welcome him on earth as he stands ready to welcome you in heaven. End quote. It is as if he lived 2,000 years ago, and now he lives again in the record of his life that the 10 corps of beings recorded and brought as a gift to all of us. This epical revelation is like a treasure that was discovered in the 1930s and is now translated into the languages of the world. The Creator Son, the Son of God, the Son of Man, Jesus the Christ, will certainly come again to the earth someday and be seen by all righteous men and women. But he is with you now, inviting you to welcome his Spirit of truth to activate in your mind. Every person born on this earth has that Spirit of truth within them, no matter what race or religion they belong to. All are the sons and daughters of our Heavenly Father and live in the universe of the Creator Son, who came to live a bestowal life on our earth. Quote, to follow Jesus means to personally share his religious faith and to enter into the spirit of the Master's life of unselfish service for man. One of the most important things in human living is to find out what Jesus believed, to discover his ideals, and to strive for the achievement of his exalted life purpose. Of all human knowledge, that which is of greatest value is to know the religious life of Jesus and how he lived it. End quote. You are living in the day when one of his visits to our earth is happening. It is not happening in the dramatic way that the artists visualize. It is really coming in a way few expected. This second coming is in the form of a book for all humanity. You can now read the revelation or hear it on your computers, on iPhones or iPods or iPads. Jesus' second coming is also happening when you accept his gift of his Spirit within each of you. Then the second coming of Jesus Christ will be a very personal experience. The first mission of the Spirit is, of course, to foster and personalize truth, for it is the comprehension of truth that constitutes the highest form of human liberty. The Spirit also came to help men recall and understand the words of the Master, as well as to illuminate and reinterpret his life on earth. Thus it appears that the Spirit of truth comes really to lead all believers into all truth, into the expanding knowledge of the experience of the living and growing spiritual consciousness of the reality of eternal and ascending sonship with God. End quote. You can read or hear the powerful message of love and mercy that Jesus brought to our earth. The book emits light that your divine spirit will recognize and testify of its truthfulness.